It's me, Queenie, and you are about to enjoy the Empowering Girl Mom Show. We're about to get started, so please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with your friends so that more moms know that we are here as a resource to support all of us in up-leveling motherhood. I look forward to joining you in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, moms, it's me, Queenie, and you are about to enjoy the Empowering Girl Mom Show. Hello, and welcome to the Empowering Girl Mom Show. I'm your host, Queenie Brown, certified master life and business coach, women's empowerment author, and a mentor to moms. And I'm excited to bring you a new show with a new guest. And today we're going to be going a little bit deeper. This entire experience is all about helping you to transform your motherhood and your womanhood experience so that you begin to see a difference and a positive change in your children, a positive change in your relationships with yourself and them, and possibly even a positive change in the line from your mother to your daughter and beyond. And so we're excited to join you today. And I'm introducing you to our special guest, Mukkove Johnson. And we're going to be talking about understanding your child's emotions. But before we get into that, I have a question for you. Are you the mom you always thought you'd be? I know I'm not. I used to think that I was going to be the mom that would make all the baby food, and I did. I tried to make all the baby food and do all the I wanted to make my baby's clothes, and I wanted to use the cloth diapers and to do all of the things, right? And what I realized quickly once I became a mom is who has time for all of that? Who has time to get the butternut squash and to cut it and do all the stuff? Who has time? And so then the mommy guilt starts to take over. You start to feel bad that you aren't meeting up to the expectations that you created for yourself, right? You start to look at the way that other moms are doing things, and you see yourself as maybe not operating on the level that you believe that you should. And the truth is that mommy guilt is a lie. And so today's guest is going to go into detail about that and to help us understand the difference between our thoughts and our emotions. So let's introduce you to Mukkove Johnson.
Hi, Queenie. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm super excited to have this conversation. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you're here to talk to us today at the Empowering Girl Mom Show.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm a mom of 4 adult children, so I've been through this journey, and then I also have a 7-year-old girl, so I'm doing it again,
Ooh,
and um, struggled so much with the mom guilt the first time around, and like I'm not over it by any means, but it's so much better this time. I've learned a lot, and just didn't want other moms to struggle the way that I struggled, and they don't need to. Like, the mom guilt just doesn't need to run your life, and I
right,
want them
right.
to know that.
You had a beautiful quote. It says that emotions shouldn't drive, but they do get a seat in the car. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think growing up in the church was taught that just emotions were bad. Like, you shouldn't be emotional, and, you shouldn't be angry, and in my family, you shouldn't even be too excited, and, don't get carried away, and so, like, just taught that, like, emotions should be, like, in the trunk or left on the side of the road. But God gave us our emotions just like He gave us our other senses to help us navigate life and make good decisions. So, yes, we don't want to be emotionally driven, but we do want them riding shotgun, giving us, excuse me, giving us the good information that they have for us.
Right. So what are some of the challenges that you've noticed in your parenting um, with regards to the emotions and your thoughts? Tell us about that.
Yeah, when I was a young mom, I was overwhelmed with that guilt and shame and inadequacy and all those emotions, but I didn't have any idea what to do with them. So I would just try to think new thoughts. We're told to renew our mind. And so trying to think new thoughts without feeling differently, without having any skills to live differently, like I'm just going to think different and that's going to change everything. And that didn't work for me. I tried really hard. It didn't work for me. But recognizing those places where we think things that, well, I guess recognizing places that we think things are true, we think scriptural truth, what God tells us, but there's a place in us that it doesn't feel true. Those are places where we need healing or possibly forgiveness, or like that's where our emotions are saying, hey, there's something here that needs attention because it's not coming into alignment with God's plan for you.
Very interesting. You said that there's a place where it doesn't feel true. So then there's a dissonance that we're recognizing. There's a thought and a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not matching up. So how do we rectify that?
Yeah, I think in the churches that I grew up in, they talked about like trying to get the truth from your head to your heart and
Mm,
what a long journey that was and how hard that is. And what the Lord has taught me is that that's backwards. The journey needs to go from our heart to our head. We're
mhm,
told to believe with our heart and then we confess with our mouth. And so being able to listen to those places that are like, okay, God loves me as much as he loves Jesus, that doesn't feel true. It feels like I've messed up too much or I've whatever. And so listen to that and say, okay, I understand that's how you feel. And based on your experiences, it's valid that you feel that way. But now we can come and we can see what God says and we can experience his love in that place. And then we can feel different.
mm,
And then from that place of feeling different, of like, oh no, I experienced God's love and acceptance for me in this place where I didn't think he could. Now it's easy to think differently.
mm. Wow. So you're confronting that belief that's not real with the word of God. I love it. Yeah,
Hmm.
I love it. So how does this translate to the work that you're doing with kids and with families?
I work with my daughter, my 7-year-old, all the time and started, when she was probably 2 and 3, because she was very articulate, of helping her identify when she's feeling sad or frustrated or whatever, helping her reflect on what are you feeling? What are you thinking? And what are you hearing?
Mm,
Because the enemy is always there talking to us, especially as small children who don't have that discernment and that filter to know that it's not them or
mm,
to know that it's not true. And so when she's feeling completely distraught over something and ask her what she's hearing, and she's hearing it's not fair. I never get what I want. And be like,
ooh,
okay, so is that true? No, it's not true. So, or who's telling you that it's not fair and you shouldn't have to go to bed or take care of your toys or whatever it is that who's telling you that? Oh, well,
mhm,
it's the enemy that's telling me that. So now I know right away that that's not right and that's not what I want to do.
mm. That is so good. It's good on so many levels because I deal with that too with my daughters. One in particular, I find her getting lost in thought, and then I'll see her mood change, and I'll ask her, "What are you feeling and what are you thinking?" But I've never asked her, "What are you hearing?" And I think that's going to be key because that'll help them to decipher between what voice they're listening to. Who am I listening to? And
Hmm.
why am I letting this in? Number one, how do I shut the door? And then how do I believe the truth? How do I uproot that? So that is a brilliant skill set to offer her at such a young age. That's amazing. I love it. So how has she responded to it?
She responds really well. Like she recognizes, oh, I was listening to the enemy again. And then also being able to take like, okay, you were listening to the enemy, so you know that's not true. But
Mhm.
what is God saying? You can hear from him and hear what he's saying to you. And, if she's struggling with an emotion, we'll take that and like, what does that emotion need?
Mm,
And if you're overwhelmed with sadness and like, I've comforted you, I've given you what you need, but take it to God. And what does He have for you? Because He
mm,
gives us beauty for ashes. He gives us, the oil of gladness for mourning. Like He has good things in exchange for our garbage. So take it to Him and get the exchange.
mm. Wow. I'm taking notes. Oh, what does He have to give you? Wow, that is good. And make an exchange. So, what are some tips that you would offer to moms to support them in taking their relationship and understanding the emotions of their children a bit deeper? What would you offer them?
One of my favorite things to do with my daughter is to ask her if she took how she was feeling and we made a picture of it, what would that look like? And so one of my favorite examples of that is we were just doing the exercise for the sake of doing the exercise because I teach this to people. And so she wanted to do lonely. And so she drew her picture. Um, and when I think lonely, I'm an extreme introvert. So I drew myself like in a crowd of people, but I wasn't connecting with anyone. Like that's lonely to me. So she drew lonely, and it was her feeling sad and disconnected. And there was a wall, and I was on the other side of the wall, and I was perfectly happy. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like if she just said, I'm feeling lonely, I have my picture and my definition of that, but she's in a completely different place in a different world. And I wouldn't know that if I didn't ask, like, tell me what that would look like. And so we talked about it. Turned out that she was like, when she stopped and sat with it and asked the questions, that Satan had put the wall there. And so it wasn't real. And he was lying to her, and um, asked what God had for her. But just that slowing down to listen and be curious to what they're feeling. And and again, the thoughts that are coming with that, their own and the enemy's, so that you can really have that compassion, that empathy for what they're experiencing in their world.
Mm, wow. You just blew my hair back, woman. Wow. This is so rich. I apologize. I have to get all of the thoughts out of me so that I can it's so good.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's good.
So, how has this changed your daughter?
Well, she's only 7, so it's hard to say how
Okay.
it's changed her. But I feel like compared to the tools and the awareness and the skill set that I had to give my older kids,
Mm-hmm.
it's just light years ahead because I
Mm,
was trying to teach them this stuff as really as teenagers.
mm-hmm.
Like I didn't learn it until then.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, of course, I have years of wounds and misunderstandings and, all of these things that I'm already up against with them when I was trying to teach them. And I still didn't, like, I didn't have if you made it a picture, like, there's just so much I didn't have for
Mm-hmm.
them. And so I can see, I guess, the ease of relationship that I have with her
Mm,
compared to my older daughter
mm-hmm.
because I desperately wanted to connect with my older daughter because I don't have a connection with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
but I was trying to connect with her in the way that I needed to be connected with
Mm.
instead of how she needed to be connected with. And she's a different person than me. And,
That interesting.
my 7-year-old is even even more. So being able to like have that stability in myself to see like, yes, this is what I need, but I have enough skill sets and perspective now to go, okay, what do you need? What would say, I love you to you? What would it look like for you to trust me? What would have to change? And that was a big thing I did with my older kids was we sat down and had those conversations because I said they were like teens by the time I was learning a lot of this.
Mm,
And we went through trust and like, where are the places that I'm untrustworthy?
wow.
And then, we also had conversations of like, here's places that you need to improve your trust if you want, different privileges and whatever. But having that humbleness to be able to say, like, you, as brothers and sisters in Christ, iron sharpens iron. So my
Right.
kids are like, those are the tools that God has used the most.
Hmm.
Um, but it takes that humility to say, like, you can point out when I'm hurting you. You can point out when I'm just not listening and I'm
Hmm.
just not getting it. Like you have
Hmm.
permission. Um, and that can be really hard because it's hard to hear those things, but at the same
Yes.
time, it's so good to be able to fix it and
Yes.
to be able to have that trust where they will come back and be like, Mom,
Yes.
this didn't go so good. I need to talk to you about this. And she definitely has that. Like she has that boldness and that comfort, that safety to be able to be like, Mom, you are not, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you're not listening, you're not
There's
doing
so
what
much,
what I need.
there's so much meat on that bone because as moms, we kind of want to maintain our positioning. We want to maintain our posture and not, the saying, never let them see you sweat. Like we don't want to undermine our authority with our kids.
Yeah.
But we've got to remember that to get into their hearts, we got to go through our own. And we've got to be willing to be vulnerable and be willing to say, you know what, I blew it that time. Or I really didn't mean to make you feel that way. And I see the error. I see what I did. I shouldn't have done that.
Hmm.
And when you do that for them, it's like, oh, they don't feel like they have to fight anymore. They feel like they can finally have a conversation without the barrier of your attitude or without the barrier of your
Hmm.
rejection or even just the
Yeah.
look on your face. You know how we can do
Yes.
as moms. So it's so incredibly valuable for you to say what you just said. And it's hard though, for a
Hmm.
mom to go there, especially when we haven't begun our own heart healing work. Because a lot of times the things, and I say this all the time to moms, the challenges that we find with our daughters are often challenges we have within ourselves about
Yes.
ourselves. And she's
Yes.
just reflecting you back to you. And the
Hmm.
venom and the energy that we bring to reject whatever it is that we're seeing in her, we're really rejecting it in us.
Yeah.
And if we just allow ourselves to begin to heal our own hearts, then those hard conversations become less difficult.
Yeah.
Then you could become more vulnerable. You can become more honest. You can become more self introspective and work through your stuff with them. You become
Yes.
partners in it, right? Because
Hmm.
truthfully, we carry the same wounds.
Yeah.
Generationally, we are carrying the same wounds.
Hmm.
So we can
Yeah.
actually stop it in its tracks so that it doesn't go to the next generation and begin
Yes.
that heart healing process together. I'm so glad we had a chance to
Yeah.
talk. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
this is good. So, are there any final words that you want to share? Any words of wisdom, any tips that you want to offer, any suggestions that you want to give to a mom that is where you used to be that could help bring her over the line to where to the direction you're going towards?
Yeah. I think like you were just saying, those places where your kids, say, they push your buttons and make you just like instantly, those are places that need attention and that need healing.
Yes.
So pursue that healing in whatever way you know how. And if you don't know how, then reach out to someone who does,
Amen.
because it changes everything if you are healed enough yourself to deal with them as their own person instead of as being all tied up in your worth and your value and your adequacy and all the things that it gets tied up as when you're wounded. And yeah, that you are worth, you yourself are worth the work of the healing. And then the generational impact of that is just completely priceless.
Mm-hmm. You can say that again. It changes everything. It changes everything. Okay, so we want to thank you for coming and joining us today on the Empowering Girl Mom Show. I'd love to know if you have a free gift that you'd like to offer our community. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the free gift that I have is it's like a 25-minute lesson on walking with your kids through that, separating the thoughts and emotions and asking, who's talking to me? What am I hearing right now? Is this my thought? Is this God's thought? Is this the enemy's thought? And so it's just a lesson to walk you through that. There's a workbook page, and um, to just break that down a little bit more and help you to start putting that into practice.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your generous gift. I'll make sure that there's a link in the comments so that you guys can get a copy of it. And for those of you who are not on our mailing list, make sure that you go to empoweringgirlmoms.com and get on the list so that you'll get an email with all of the links and freebies and yummy notifications that are going to be coming out over the next few days and weeks. Well, I want to say thank you to Mukkove. You have been a joy. I'm enlightened and I'm grateful for your tips. I'm going to be using them. And I just want to say thank you so much. And if there's any final words before you go, please share.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and share. And to all the moms that are listening, you're amazing. You're doing way better than you think you are or than you feel like you are. And just keep going.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right, ladies, thank you again for joining us for today's episode of the Empowering Girl Mom Show with Mukkove Johnson. And we will see you tomorrow with another new special guest, bringing you more insights, more wisdom, and pouring into your hearts to help you begin your heart healing journey so that you can become the mom you've always destined and dreamed to be. All right, I'm your host, Queenie Brown. Thank you again for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wow, today's conversation was a bit deep, and honestly, I needed to hear it today myself. So I just wanted to remind you that when we begin our heart healing, when we decide to turn that mirror around and focus on the broken parts inside of us, the parts that have been wounded, the parts that we are holding, maybe some resentment or unforgiveness, or maybe there are parts that you've never even acknowledged, or wounds that you just kind of tucked under the rug. We've talked about that before, right? As moms, many of us don't have time to do heart healing. And honestly, we are the very first generation to even begin to think about healing our hearts, to think about going into therapy or getting coaching or getting support in the areas where we need the support. And the truth is, moms, we get to have support. And so I felt led over the last couple of weeks and months to put together a beautiful program. It's called the Mother Love Immersion. It is a 6-week heart healing online retreat for moms. And it's designed to take us under that rug and just to begin that heart healing process in a safe, loving container where we can together journey through the pain, but not with the intention to stay there. The intent is for us to go there so we can heal from it. I have learned in my own journey that sometimes you got to feel it in order to heal it. And so if you have not allowed yourself to feel the pain of whatever it is that you went through, and you've not allowed yourself to really just go there, it's time, because if you don't, it'll continue to bleed into your relationship with your children. It'll bleed into your relationship with money, with your love relationship. It bleeds into every part of your life. And so we have to decide to begin our heart healing journey. And this Mother Love Immersion is a light introduction. It's not going to be a deep dive, because a lot of us have wounds that have just been there for so long. And the intent, again, is for us to learn how to process through it. And so I want to invite you, if you are ready to begin your heart healing journey, to put "I'm ready" in the comments. And I would love to have a conversation with you to talk to you about the Mother Love Immersion and what it can do for you and how it can transform you. And let this summer be the last summer that you carry the baggage. Let this be the last summer that you go without learning how to walk through your own heart healing process. And let this be the summer that you learn the skills to be able to support your daughter or daughters in healing their own hearts, because they're watching us moms. They're seeing how we deal with life. They're watching us tuck things under the rug when we've been violated or mistreated or spoken to in a way that was inappropriate, or even on the job. We tend to take things in as women and we don't know how to push them back out. So let me help you walk through that journey and we can do it together. Again, put I'm ready in the comments, and I will be happy to share with you more about the Mother Love Immersion, which again is a 6-week heart healing online retreat for moms. And it's, of course, not just open to moms, but if you're a woman and you're not a mom yet, you definitely are still welcome. But specifically, I want to target moms because what we're doing inside of motherhood is a reflection of the pain that we're carrying inside of our own hearts. So we get to heal that. We get to walk through that process, learn a new skill set, and be able to model and share that with our daughters. All right. So if you're ready to begin your own heart healing journey, put "I'm ready" in the comments, and I'll be sure to let you know more about the Mother Love Immersion. Okay. All right. Y'all be blessed. Thank you so very much. Yes, you get to process and learn how to move through your healing. It is the most important lesson and skill set that you can learn, because it's really, when you really think about it, our mother line, the wounds that your grandmother carried, she passed on to your mom, even if she didn't want to. Epigenetically, your mom was in her mother's womb when her mother was dealing with whatever trauma that she went through, and likewise you were in your mother's womb when your mom was in the womb. Think about that. When we're born, we have all the eggs we'll ever carry. And so oftentimes we are carrying the woundedness from the past generations. So let's be deliberate about making sure that our next generation doesn't get that from us. And if they do, let's learn how to unravel it so that they'll know how to do that for their next generation as well. This is deep heart healing work, ladies, moms, and it's necessary for us to be able to up level and be who we've been called to be. So I'm grateful that you joined us. Thank you so much. Again, go to www.empoweringgirlmoms.com to learn more about this show. Catch all the replays. We're going to be replaying a lot of the interviews this week because they were so impactful. And in case you missed it, we want to give you one last opportunity to catch them. All right. Thank you so much again for joining. I'm Queenie Brown, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. You be blessed and take good care. Bye bye.